Hey, what's up everybody? Nexel here. Today we're doing a Weiss Schwarz deck profile. This is going to be on my Sword Art Online Last Shot Sinon green and blue deck profile. Probably the best deck in the SAO lineup because the core of green-blue is just so simple, so consistent, and it gives you a lot of extra slots in the deck to make some sort of tech decisions where you think, this will be good for certain scenarios, maybe not for other scenarios. Playing a lot of one-offs. Because again, SAO is just very consistent in terms of its core, very obvious 4-ofs that you have to play. So because the core is so simple and it's really efficient in terms of its climax combos, I really like the green-blue build of Sword Art Online. But with that being said, we're going to do this like we do all our other deck profiles, where we talk about the card lists, the deck list, and then we'll go into the general strategy of the deck. So that is going to be how we go about this. Now, keep in mind, the big thing about Sword Art Online, or at least one of the big things that anyone can notice, is that if you look at the effect text, there is a lot of effects going on with SAO, which is how it kind of builds around the consistency and how it essentially stays somehow always towards the top of the deck list because of all the different texts you can do, as well as its very, very strong finishing combo. So I will be reading the effects, so bear with me if you want to fast forward to the end of the deck list, just see everything out. Totally feel free to do that and just start listening in on the strategy. So let's go ahead, talk about our level 0 lineup. So we start off with 4 copies of Temporary Alliance Kirito. This is going to be the generic mill runner for the deck. So the first effect is when this card attacks, choose one of your other characters with Sinon in its card name, and that character gets 1,000 power till the end of turn. We don't really use this effect a lot. Really, we don't have too many cards with Sinon in the name. The second effect is obviously the more important one. At the beginning of your opponent's attack phase, you may put the top card of your deck into your waiting room. If that card is an avatar or net character, you may move this card to an open position on your center stage. Now, mill runners, I always really like mill runners for a lot of different reasons. So number one, mill runners maintain your board position. So let's say you go first, you swing in with the mill runner. It's the only card you played out on your center stage. Your opponent attacks, you mill a avatar or net character, boom, move it to another spot, and that saves this character from being blown up, essentially. It allows you to maintain a board position without losing any cards. And not only that, mill runners I find are very effective at compressing your deck when you know you are low or out of climaxes and you know that cancellation is likely not going to happen on the damage step. So let's just say you have like almost a full deck and there's like 2 climaxes in there. You can use the mill running effect on the opponent's turn in order to thin out the deck by 1. You can also use this effect in the back row. So even if you've got attackers in the front row, you can keep this in the back, still use its mill run ability, without having to actually move the card. So I really like mill runners, which is why we play 4 copies of this Temporary Alliance Kirito. The next card in our level 0 lineup is going to be Comforting Moment Asuna. This card has the first effect, return 2 characters from your waiting room to the deck and shuffle your deck. When this card is placed on the stage from your hand, you may pay that cost. If you do, this card gets +1 soul until the end of turn. This is generally an okay effect. Sometimes you just want to swing in for big damage. Sometimes you want to use the putting 2 characters back into the deck in order to search them out with a climax combo or something like that. So it's a very unique tech where you kind of have to pay attention to why you'd be using it. Sometimes you just want to play a climax card down and side attack with this, just doing 1 damage. So using this effect, you put things back into the deck, it becomes 2 soul, you play a climax combo, it becomes 3 soul, and then you could swing against like a level 2 or a level 1 to do less damage and still maintain something as a defender. And then the second ability, when this card becomes reversed in battle, reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is level 1 or higher, you may put this card into your stock. That's probably the biggest reason I play this card, simply because you want to make sure you can keep building stock, because towards the end of this game, this deck can become very, very stock heavy, which is why we play a lot of level 0s and level 1s that have no cost to them. So this card allowing you to build some extra stock if you're able to get the level 0s, the level 1s or higher, and put this card into your stock. It's a level 0. Who really cares about putting level 0s in the stock? Unless they're like for tech reasons. Now this card I would really heavily consider bringing this up to a 4-of, but we play 3 copies of Time to Get Serious Kirito. This is an amazing level 0 card for the Sword Art Online deck. So the effects of this card, first one, when this card is placed on the stage from your hand, this card gets plus 1,500 power till the end of turn, making it 3,500 the turn you play it down, and that's really hefty for a level 0. This is going to get around a lot of other level 0s. The second effect is going to be when this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, choose one of your other avatar or net characters, rest it, and move it to an open position in the backstage. That's one of the best reasons to play this card. So for example, let's just say you play down this card, it's 3-5 for the turn, and then you're going turn 2, you just play some whatever level 0 in order to just swing, get some stock. Because remember, this deck can get very, very stock heavy. So you can play this, crash it into something, it becomes reverse, and then you attack with your big giant Kirito that's 3-5, run over something else, rest this, and then move it to the back. So not only did you get a free stock off swinging on this, but you also get to maintain this card. And then not only that, but if you bring your opponent to level 1, you prevent a reverse happening in this slot. So Time to Get Serious Kirito, a really amazing level 0 card because of its ability to save other things. Remember that it's on reverse, so that works on both players' turns. So for example, let's just say your opponent crashes into this. So you're facing some sort of matchup that's like this. And again, this is really only a place to like people that don't really pay attention or don't really pay attention to the interactions. Generally, good players won't fall into this. But if they swing into this card and then it reverses it, you can still do the effect. You can still move something to the back row to prevent another reverse. So really good effects on the Time to Get Serious Kirito, and definitely I wish I had a 4th copy of it so that I could play 4, but I play it as a 3 of simply because I only have 3 copies, and 3 copies generally tends to get me where I need to be, but I would really highly consider playing this at 4 for those reasons that I mentioned just now. All right, moving on to the next level 0 in our lineup, we have 3 copies of Sister Fond of Her Brother Leafa. This is going to be the card that stays in your back row and has really good effects throughout the entirety of the game. So the first effect is an auto ability and activates up to 1 time per turn. When you use an act, choose one of your characters and that character gets plus 1000 power till the end of turn. So if you use a Brainstormer, or if you use anything where you like pay a cost and it's an act ability, you give something 1000 power for the end of turn. This is going to be very important later down the line because we play 3 backups. And remember that backups count as act abilities. So if you use a backup, you get the backup damage from the card itself, and then this Leafa goes off and you get an additional 1000 power. So for this Asana, for example, it gives plus 2000, it can give up to plus 2000 to one character, and then with the Leafa in the back gives another 1000. So plus 3000 is really good. So really good first effect there. Second effect, pay 1. When a climax is put on your climax area, you may pay the cost, which is that 1 stock. If you do, look up to 4 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 1 avatar or net character from among them, reveal it to your opponent, put it in your hand, and put the rest in your waiting room. So a nice way of compressing your deck if you know that you're out of climaxes, or if you're really trying to dig for a certain card that you're going to need next turn. You can play your climax card, dig through those top 4 cards, hopefully get the thing you're looking for, or compress your deck down, and then proceed to go on with the rest of your attack step. So this is really good just for plussing, because with this deck, the way it's built to generate stock. And sometimes you want to fish things out of your stock. So for example, if you get like stuck with climaxes in the stock area, you can use this to help them fish out while at the same time plussing off of the interaction. So I really like this card. There's a good reason it's expensive, and definitely deserves a 3 of in this deck list because I want to have it in the back row without trying to pay to get it out, search for it, spend resources to get it out. I'd rather get it out for free. We have 2 copies of the Gathering Material Silica. This is going to be the level 0 reverser. So when this card is placed on the stage from your hand, reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is an avatar net character, put it in your hand, choose a card in your hand, and put it in your waiting room. So this is a nice little filter, trying to get rid of other cards in your hand that you don't need. So for example, let's say your hand's just clogged full of climax cards. You can play this, grab an avatar card. If it's an avatar or net character, put it in your hand, discard a climax, and essentially you plus a card you can use, while at the same time getting rid of something that you might not need in your hand at the moment. So I only play this as a 2 of. Let's talk about the second effect first before I go into that. Second effect, when this card becomes reversed, if this card's battle opponent is level 0 or lower, you may reverse that character. So getting rid of really big level 0s, and really that's why we play it. It's only a 2 of because the Time to Get Serious Kirito is much better because it maintains your other cards. It becomes beefy on its own. So you can just run over something as a 3/5 and save a card, whereas in this case, not only are you just taking care of a big card, but you're actually also losing this card. So I like this for certain scenarios. It's good for filtering. It's good for getting rid of climaxes and hands and things like that. But we only play it as a 2 of because, quite frankly, the other level 0 lineup is pretty solid on its own. All right, the next level 0 we play is going to be 2 copies of Sleeping Knights, Talcon and Nori and June. First effect, your other character in the middle position of the center stage with Yuuki or Asuna in its card name get +1 level and +1000 power. This is going to be pretty good for the level 1 climax combo when we talk about it later, which is going to be a Yuuki card. But generally, I don't use that effect too often. It's really for getting around like level reversers or trying to beef up our Yuuki a little bit more. The second effect is going to be a Brainstorm, so pay 1, rest 2 of your characters, reveal 4 cards from the top of your deck and put them in your waiting room. For each climax revealed, search your deck for up to 1 avatar or net character, reveal it to your opponent, put it in your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So the reason I like this card is that it pairs pretty well with the Lifa, because the Lifa does not require any sort of tapping, so you can still do this, even though self-tapping Brainstormers are a lot better. Since you're likely not doing anything with this card anyways, you can still do the Brainstorm rest 2 characters with very little consequence. So good 2 of card in this deck, just to maintain positions in the back, give some power to the front if you've got the Yuuki out. So I like to play that as a 2 of because, again, not mandatory, but it definitely helps our plays. The next card we play is going to be 1 copy of Kendo Bootcamp Sugaha. This is going to be our generic on play, ditch 1, pay 1 to search for 1. The other effect is all your other characters get the following ability. This card cannot side attack, which is totally okay because likely you're playing it, getting the effect, swinging, and then getting rid of it. The second effect is going to be that Drop Searcher ability, where when this card is placed on the stage from your hand, pay the cost, which is 1, and then discard a card from your hand to the waiting room. If you do search your deck for up to 1 avatar or net character, reveal it to your opponent and put it in your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So just a generic, in case we need to search anything out, really good card. Drop Searcher is definitely the type of card where you think of playing at least 1 in every single deck, just to get out the resources you need when you need them. So that is going to be our level 0 lineup. So lots of tech going on in the level 0 lineup. Next, we go into the level 1s with the obvious level 1 climax combo being the Zekken Yuuki card. So this card, when you play it from your hand to the stage, it gets plus X power till the end of turn, where X is equal to 500 multiplied by the number of avatar or net characters that you have. That includes itself. So it's a base 4, which is really weak. But when you play it, if you've got 4 other characters on the stage, it gets plus 2,500, making it 6/5 with the climax combo, bringing it up to 7/5, and that will generally run over a lot of stuff. Not only that, but if you have the Brainstormer in the back, and this is in the center, it's going to get that extra 1,000 and +1 level, making it level 2 that has 8/5 with the climax combo. So able to run over even certain level 2s and some level 3s in certain cases. So just really good for running things over that first effect. A second effect is going to be the important one. This is the climax combo. When this card attacks, if a card named Mother's Rosario is in your climax area, you may pay the cost, which is 1, and then put a card from your hand into the waiting room. If you do, search your deck for up to 2 avatar or net characters, reveal them to your opponent, and put them in your hand. Then shuffle your deck, and this card gets +1 level until the end of your opponent's next turn, making it so it's very difficult for your opponent to side attack. That drop 1, pay 1 to search for 2 on attack is incredibly busted. So let's break it down a little bit. So on attack means that if you side attack, if you frontal attack, you can still get the effect off. So that's really good because it doesn't require a reverse. It doesn't require anything from your opponent. It's just I attack and I get to use my climax combo. Very straightforward, very good, and very consistent in terms of using this card at level 1, level 2, level 3, because you can use that climax combo throughout the game. Let's keep breaking it down. So the next thing is going to be to pay 1 and then put a card from your hand into the waiting room. This is really good for filtering out climaxes. So let's just say you know that top card of your stock is a climax. You can be like, all right, climax combo, boom, pay the 1, get that climax combo out of your stock, and then if your hand is clogged with climaxes, also get 1 out from your hand, and then you search for 2. So the search for 2 is really good because it's a 2-card compression. That can be really good for setting up for your opponent's next turn so that you cancel damage so that your deck is more compressed and you're more likely to run into those climaxes to cancel the damage. So that effect lasts you all the way until the end of the game. There was a turn or a game I played where I was level 3 and used that climax combo in order to thin out my deck so that even after a barrage of level 3 climax combo attacks, burns, I was still able to survive because my deck was essentially all climaxes at that point, and then it just canceled all the damage. So this is a really amazing effect no matter what stage of the game you are in, as long as you're, well, pretty much more or less level 1 or higher with this deck. So really, really good effect. Probably, in my opinion, it's up there with Aaron as the best level 1s in English Weiss at the moment. So really, really good effect that requires no interaction whatsoever. All right, moving on to our next level 1, we've got 4 copies of the Determination with Life on the Line Kirito. This is going to be the other level 1 that you're just going to want to keep slapping down and then attacking with. So this card, first effect, when this card is placed on the stage from your hand, reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is Avatar or Net, this card gets plus 2,000 power till the end of turn. So essentially, as long as you get no events or no climaxes off the top of the deck, this is a level 1, no cost 6/5, which can run over a lot of stuff. The second effect, when this card is put into your waiting room from the stage, you may reveal up to 3 cards from the top of your deck. If you reveal 1 or more cards, choose up to 1 Avatar or Net character from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest in your waiting room, choose 1 card in your hand, and put it in your waiting room. So essentially, it is going to be, if this card is put in the waiting room, look it up to top 3, add 1 to your hand for an Avatar or Net, and discard 1 from hand, the other ones go in the waiting room. So this is good for running through the deck, because again, one of the strongest things about this deck, if it wasn't clear with the Yuuki, is that it can go through your deck very, very quickly, allowing you to reset all those climaxes back into your deck without having to use like a free fresh ability or something that can be very costly. These are all effects on cost 0 cards, so effectively you're really not losing a lot when it comes to milling through your deck. It also lets you set up for the late game where it's like, all right, maybe I need a specific card. This can help me fish it out of there. And to be able to attack, run things over, and be able to filter out climaxes from hand, get those characters that you need into your hand. Really, really good stuff. So we play 4 copies of Determination with Life on the Line Kirito. Again, just part of the deck's core. The next card we play are 2 copies of Vice Commander Asuna, which is one of the best 1/0 backup cards in all of English Weiss because of the way its ability reads. So let's read it just to clarify. So when you use this card's backup, if the number of Avatar or Net characters you have is 2 or more, choose 1 of your characters, and that character gets a plus 1,000 power till the end of turn. This inherently is a 1k backup. So why this effect is so incredibly good for pretty much almost any Sword Art Online deck is because it allows you to split the 1,000 power from its backup ability. So normally 1k backups that have this sort of ability, say your character in battle. So essentially it's a 2k to 1 character, you can't split it. But because of the way this is written, choose 1 of your other characters, and that character gets plus 1,000 power till the end of turn. You can use this to back up one of your characters. If you have 2 or more Avatar or Net, you give another K to a different character. If you've got this Suguha in the back, you give another K to another character. So that's 3 instances of 1,000 power that you can spread across the board in whatever way you want. That could be important for preventing reverses or maintaining a board presence. So I really like this backup. It's really, really strong for a backup and probably the best 1k backup as far as my knowledge goes with English Weiss. So really like that Vice Commander Asuna card. Being able to buff up 1 thing to 3,000 or 3 different things by 1,000 each if you got the Suguha out. Really good stuff. Next, we play 1 copy of SAO Survivor Asuna and Kazuto. So this is going to be just a net character in terms of traits. And in terms of the effects, during the opponent's turn, all of your other Avatar or Net characters get plus 1,000 power, which is not a small amount. 1,000 power, especially with the backups and stuff, can really help you run over things or prevent yourself from getting run over. Second effect, when this card is placed on the stage from your hand, look at up to 2 cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 1 card from among them, put it in your hand, put the rest in the waiting room, choose a card in your hand, and put it in your waiting room. So again, filtering through your deck. So on play, let's just say it's level 1, you don't have the climax card in hand. You can use this card to dig through an additional 2 cards in your deck to try and get that Mother's Rosario card, set yourself up for that level 1 combo. Or let's say you're at the end game. Play this down, and you can try and search for the Phantom Bullet. Again, this says 1 card, so that means it can filter out for climax cards, which is what we really like. And again, being able to discard 1 from hand, really good for filtering out climaxes from your hand when it's getting a little bit clogged, especially since we play Mother's Rosario, which is going to have that gold bar effect. All right, moving on to our level 2 lineup. So from this point onwards, aside from our actual level 3 combo, a lot of this stuff is going to be tech, because the core parts of this deck are going to be the level 0 Kiritos, the Suguha, the level 1 Zekken Yuukis, and the level 1 Determination with Life on the Line Kiritos. A lot of the other stuff is just tech, and you're definitely going to see it with our level 2 lineup, starting with one copy of Gathering Materials Lifa. This is a really good 2.5k backup, where when you use this card's backup, reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is an avatar or net, put it in your hand, and then put a card from your hand into the waiting room. So again, that filtering ability that we've seen with a lot of the other cards in this deck. On top of that, the way this card works is that when you use its backup, you check the top card. If it is a climax card, it stays there. And remember, you use this as a backup. That means you're getting attacked. That means you're either filtering one card off the top of your deck if it's a character, and getting yourself closer, getting that compression down so that you can likely cancel the damage. Or even if you just top check and it's a climax card, you know that's going to get canceled. So really, really good backup. And again, it's a backup. It works with the Suguha, giving an additional 1k. So you can give potentially 3.5k to something to not only defend in terms of damage, but also get yourself closer to canceling damage you're about to receive. Next level 2 tech we play is going to be the Machine of Ice Sinon. So this has the first effect, assist all of your characters in front of this card get plus 1000 power, which is pretty decent. 1000 power can help you run over certain things. If you use it with this Kirito, it makes it stronger to get that reverse move to the back effect going off. A second effect of this is going to be an act ability. So you rest this card, so there's no cost in terms of stock. Choose one of your opponent's characters, and that character gets the following ability until end of turn. During this card's battle, you cannot play event cards and backups from hand. This could be very important to assuring that you run over something and there is no way that they can save it. It prevents them from using an anti-change to try and get rid of something. So you can just swing in with your early out and then use this card, make sure that that other card can't play any backups, essentially saving that level 3 or forcing them to use that backup on a card that they didn't want to use it on. So a nice little one of tech. Again, we're starting to get into the techie area of SAO. Next card I play is going to be one copy of Adventure with Everyone Sinon. The first effect is when this card is placed on the stage from your hand, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose a climax in your waiting room and return it to your hand, where the cost is pay 1 and put a climax from your hand into the waiting room. So essentially, when you play this, you get to filter out a climax. So pay 1, and then you discard a climax you might not want from your hand, and then you're able to get one that you want back to your hand. So really, again, we play the gold bar, and the gold bar is going to end up in your hand a lot of the game. That's why we have all these filtering options to make sure we can put it back in our waiting room if we need to. If it's late game and we need a Phantom Bullet climax card, we can just use this to get rid of one of the likely Mother's Rosarios that you have stocked in your hand and switch it out for a Phantom Bullet so that you can get that level 3 climax combo going off. Second ability on this card is going to be when this card attacks. If the character facing this card is level 3 or higher, this card gets plus X power to the end of turn, where X is equal to 1000 multiplied by the number of avatar or net characters that you have. So essentially, if you have 5 characters, including this one, you essentially get plus 5k on this card. So really, really good stuff here to help you run over those early outs. This is going to be one of our anti-change cards. With the second one going to be this card here, The Reason I Won't Lose Kirito. This card has the auto effect when this card becomes reverse. If the level of this card's battle opponent is higher than your opponent's level, you may put that character on the bottom of your opponent's deck. This is another really good anti-change card because the way that it works is, number one, it's super weak. It's only 1 cost and it's only 6/5. So it's going to be weak. It's going to be run over. But you're likely using this to crash into a level 3 card. The reason that this card is really good is that it puts that card on the bottom of the opponent's deck. That prevents them from being able to encore it back with effects without the paying 3 to save the card, without any hand encore, anything like that. So this card is a good way of assuring that that level 3 is not coming back, at least not coming back for a while, and can't interrupt the flow of your game. For example, if you're going against a bodyguard, you use this, boom, gets reversed, bodyguard, bottom of the deck, the other 2 cards on your center stage can attack like normal. This works really well against Love Live Sunshine, where you face a lot of early out level 3s. So Really good card. And the reason that I play both of these, so I know some people have told me play one or the other. I really like the climax filtering on this because you end up with so many Mother's Rosarios in your hand. So you get one early out or anti-early out, and then this one is like a for sure that early out is getting forced to the bottom of the deck, and we are not going to worry about it right now. Moving on to our level 3 lineup. So the only level 3 that we play 4 of is of course going to be our finisher and our main climax combo at level 3. And probably the best finisher in all of SAO right now, the Last Shot Sinon. So first effect on this card, when this card is placed on the stage from your hand or by a change effect, you may put the top card of your clock into your waiting room. So it's a heal. So we've already got a little bit of defensiveness going on with this card. Second effect is going to be the climax combo. So when this card attacks, if a card named Phantom Bullet is in your climax area, you may pay the cost, which is pay 2, and put a card from your hand into the waiting room. If you do, deal 4 damage to your opponent. That is a hefty amount of damage. It is not dependent on X number of cards. It's just a flat 4, which is really, really good. When this damage is canceled, this card gets plus 3,500 power till the end of your opponent's next turn. So not only that, if you attack, number 1, it's on attack, which is busted. Again, when on attack is a really good effect because it requires no interaction. There's no reversing. You don't have to be bigger than your opponent. You don't have to do anything special. It's just, I attack, and I get to use my climax combo. Really good effect. It's also another good thing about on attack that I didn't really talk about with the Zekken Yuuki is that if you attacked with another character and then triggered a climax card that's going in to your stock, on attack effects are really good for filtering that one card out and making sure it gets back in the waiting room. So on attack, super good stuff. And not only that, but it deals 4 damage. Again, that's a hefty amount of damage. So either they are eating 4 damage right there, which is heavy. That is impactful. That is game winning right there. But even if they cancel it, because 4 is a lot of damage, and the likelihood of canceling, pretty high. But even if they cancel it, the card gets beefy till the end of the next turn. So let's just say, yeah, you use the Phantom Bullet and they canceled. Now this card is 13-5. Let's say you have this in the back on the opponent's turn. It's 14-5. Let's say you have this Suguha in the back, and then you also pull out the level 1 Vice Commander backup. So what is that? So that's 13-5, 14-5, 16-5, 17-5. Like, that is a big character. And if you get to keep it, you can Phantom Bullet again next turn. So really good stuff with this climax combo. And definitely one of the best reasons this card is an amazing, probably the best finisher in all of English SAO right now. Last effect, when this card becomes reversed in battle, put this card into your memory. Now, this is something tricky that you have to work around because sometimes the opponent is going to play a backup and reverse this card and kick it to your memory. But this could also work into your favor, where if you attack something where you know you are weak, you will still get the damage from this card, but you will remove it from the field, number 1, giving you some compression, and number 2, preventing your opponent from getting an on-reverse effect. So let's just say this Sinon after climax combo is going to be like, what, 11k, right? Let's say we swing into something that's 13k. So it's on attack for the climax combo. We still get the climax combo. Then the damage goes through. All right, so we still get the points of damage going through. Then we eat the battle actually itself. This card gets reversed, goes to memory, and then you have an open slot here that your opponent cannot use for on-reverse effects like Mikasa. So really good to kind of clear your field if you play it right. But if you get back-upped and then it unfortunately just knocks out your Sinon, then that's just a feels bad scenario. But at least you got the points of damage out before that happened. All right, moving on to the rest of our level 3, which is a lot of tech. So we played 2 copies of an early out. We played 2 of the Songstress Yunas. First effect, if the number of climax in your waiting room is 2 or less, this card gets +1 level in your, -1 level in your hand, making it an early out. So this is generally a good effect because by the time you're level 2, you're likely going through your first deck refresh or your second deck refresh. So meeting that condition isn't particularly too hard, especially with SAO. You've got a lot of filtering options. So you've got the ability to thin your deck out with this card. You can brainstorm, you can search, you can play this card, filter down 2 more cards. You can actually just play over this card and then filter out some more cards. So there's a lot of easy ways to mill through your deck if you need to, or hopefully you're just already at 2 or less climaxes in the waiting room already. So easy out condition, not too bad. Second effect, when this card is placed on the stage from your hand, you may put the top card of your clock into your waiting room. So it's a heal. So it's an early out and a heal. And we like that for maintaining our level 2 position. Last effect, when this card attacks, choose one of your other avatar or net characters, and that character gets plus X power until the end of turn, where X is equal to 500 multiplied by the number of other avatar or net characters you have, giving another character potentially plus 2,000 power. So you've already got this card out. It's pretty big. If you're still level 2, you swing, and then you give something else potentially up to 2k power, which could be good for, again, this Kirito that has the effect on reverse. Or maybe you're just trying to run something over. This Suguha inherently has 3k. You can bump it up to 5k, which again can run over a lot of level 1s. So a really good early out, a really good heal option, and then you give yourself the ability to run over other things with a lot of your other options. Next level 3 we play is going to be one copy of Adventure with Everyone Lifa. This card gets plus 500 power for each of your other avatar or net characters, bumping itself up by about 2k if you have a full board. Second effect, when this card is placed on the stage from your hand, look at up to X cards from the top of your deck, choose up to one card from among them, put it in your hand, put the rest in your waiting room. X is equal to the number of avatar or net characters you have, meaning it includes itself. So if you have a full board, then you have this card down. That is 5 cards from the top of your deck you're able to look at, and this effect is primarily used to dig out climaxes that you need. So let's just say it's endgame. You don't have the Phantom Bullet in your hand that you need for your level 3 climax combo. You can use this card to fish it out and make it a little bit easier on yourself. And it's also got a really good third effect where when this card's battle opponent becomes reverse, you may pay the cost of putting 2 characters from your hand into the waiting room. If you do, put that battle opponent into your opponent's clock. So it is a clock kicker. So it gets big, filters out for Phantom Bullet, and then on reverse kicks something to clock, giving yourself an extra ping of damage. That's a really good effect and can essentially win you the game. Just getting that extra ping, getting out that extra Phantom Bullet for that climax combo. Really good effect, and that's why you play it as a one-of in case we ever need it. Next card we are going to play in terms of our level 3 lineup is one copy of Link Strike Sinon. This, if the number of avatar or net characters you have is 4 or more, this card gets -1 level in hand. Remember, all of our level 1s and level 0s are no cost, so it's very easy to fill out the board. So it's easy to fill out this early out condition. Second effect, when this card is placed on the stage from your hand or by the auto effect of a card named Link Strike Kirito, draw up to 1 card, and this card gets plus 2,000 power till the end of turn. So essentially it's draw 1, gives itself plus 2k. The last effect is the main reason we play a copy of one of this in the deck. So this ability activates up to 1 time per turn. When the character in the middle position of your center stage attacks, you may pay the cost, which is 1, and then put 2 cards from your hand into the waiting room. If you do, put the top 3 cards of your deck into your waiting room. If there is a climax among those cards, restand this card. So this works even if this is the center character. So let's just say you are attacking with this card. It's in the middle position. So you attack. You can pay the 1, discard 2 cards from hand, mill the top 3 cards of your deck, and then if there's a climax, restand it, and you get to attack with it again. This is good because it lets you kind of pick the order of stuff. So maybe you want this Sinon to be here. You'll swing first here, and then you dig out 1 card from the top. Then you attack with the middle position here, and then you use the effect to restand the Sinon. This is good with the level 1 combo because the level 1 combo is inherently going to filter out characters from the deck, making your deck thinner. So that way, when you attack with this Link Strike Sinon, your odds of hitting a climax combo, getting that restand, are really, really good. Remember, the way that restanders work is that if they trigger a soul on the first attack, they maintain that soul going forward. So let's say you attack with a Sinon, it triggers a soul, it's at 3 soul for the turn, and then you get the restand, and then it triggers another soul on the second attack. That's 4 soul for that second attack. So I think this Link Strike Sinon is pretty good, especially when you are at level 2, the opponent's at level 3, trying to prevent you from playing your last shot Sinon combo. So this gives you somewhat of a pseudo-climax combo to try and finish things out early. So that's why I play 1 copy of Link Strike Sinon, in case I know my opponent's trying to stall me at level 2, trying to get me to 2-6 all the way to finish, just in case we need to play around that somehow. All right, next card we play 1 copy, and this is our final level 3, is going to be 1 copy of Full of Vigor Yui. So first effect on this card, when this card is placed on the stage from your hand, it gets plus X power till the end of turn, where X is equal to 500 multiplied by the number of avatar or net characters you have. So this is good because just like the Lifa, it gives itself potentially plus 2,500 power, bringing it up to 12k. Second effect is when this card is placed on the stage from your hand, you may pay the cost of 2 cards from your hand to the waiting room. If you do, put all of your opponent's stock into your opponent's waiting room, and your opponent puts the same number of cards from the top of his or her deck into the stock. That's a crazy ability. That is a busted ability. That is an ability that punishes your opponent for playing well. So let's say your opponent's built up all of this stock. It's really clean. It's all characters, all level 0s, no climaxes or anything in there. Their deck is super compressed. You're at level 3. You need to finish out this game right away. Boom. Drop the Yuuki. All that stock goes into their deck or into the waiting room. And then from the top of their deck, they keep putting cards to refill that stock. So let's just say they had 9 stock, all clean. Play this card. All that clean stock goes to the waiting room, and then they're potentially just throwing climaxes into that stock, making it easier for you to do things like finish off the game with your last shot Sinon. So a really busted ability, and quite frankly, it's one of the abilities I hate the most in this game because, again, it punishes you for playing well. So it works great when you're the one doing it, but if it's being played against you, it's just like, oh my gosh, I played super well for no reason whatsoever. So you really have to predict this card coming. Otherwise, you could find yourself in a scenario where you're just losing all of your good stock and then losing all of your climaxes all at once. So really busted second ability here. Last effect on this Yuuki, during your opponent's turn, when the damage you receive is not canceled, if this card is in your center stage, look at the top card of your deck and put it on the top of your deck or put it in your waiting room. So really good defensive card. Because it's not just this card being frontal attacked. It's when the damage you received is not canceled. That works for all 3 lanes. Not only that, but it doesn't say anything about you being attacked. So if you're getting pinged for 1-1-1, you essentially on that first one, take the damage. All right, I 8 damage. Let's take a look at the top card. It's not a climax. All right, it goes in the waiting room. It's a lot better to go in the waiting room because it compresses the deck even further. And if you take a look and it's a climax, you just leave it there. So this is pretty much for every single time you receive damage. You're able to check the top card and see if you want to cancel it or if you want to push yourself closer to canceling. And that's really good nowadays because we see a lot of cards that are like ping for 1, ping for 1, ping for 1, then the attack goes through. Or it's like do 2 sets of 2 damage. So I really like this card as a tech, especially when you know what the opponent's level 3 climax combo is, because by this point in the game, you're at level 3. They have probably gone through their deck at least 2 or 3 times, maybe even just once in very rare scenarios. So you should know what their level 3 climax combo is and how it's going to work against you. So you should know if you should be holding on to this one card. So that is going to be all our character lineup right there. It was a lot of reading, lots of explanation. But one of the best things about this deck is that the reason all these one-ofs work so well is because of the level 1 combo that works on attack. So on attack, it's like, all right, let me grab the text that I need based on the matchup that I know I have, and then I can just play around it. Again, it's on attack. It's going to happen. You get to make sure it happens. There's no reverse effects, nothing like that. So this card is what ties the whole idea of SAO being a techie deck together. It's what makes it work. Because a bunch of one-offs is generally not how you want to play this game. You want to play consistent 4-offs to make sure you get what you need. But this Yuuki fixes everything to make sure you always get what you need when you need it. And it also deck compresses. It's a really busted card. Moving on to our climax combos, we play the obvious 4 Phantom Bullets for our level 3 climax combo. And then we play the obvious 4 copies of Mother's Rosario. So personally, I don't like book as a trigger effect because you could book and draw 1 card and then it's a climax card and it's like, oh my gosh, now we're out even more climaxes on top of the Phantom Bullet that we just triggered. So book is okay. It's a nice +1, but overall, it's one of my least favorite plussings in the game. The Mother's Rosario is going to be the gold bar. So remember, for gold bar, when this card triggers, return this card to your hand and you can put the top card of your deck into your stock. This is what I meant when I say you end up with this card a lot in your hand. And that's why we need all these filtering options like this Silica or like this Kirito or this Yuuki, which discards a card from hand. The reason is to just get these cards out of our hand because I have found myself in scenarios where I might have even had all 4 of these in my hand at any one time. So I had to play one and then I had to get rid of one and then I had to use a Kirito to get rid of another one. So this can get kind of cloggy, but it works in your favor because it helps your filtering options a lot. So that is going to be the deck list, and actually it's sort of the general flow of how this deck is going to play. So just as a simple rundown, let's just go down how to play this deck. I've pretty much described it throughout the entirety of this video, but I'll try my best to do it really short because this is already starting to be a very long video. So the core of the deck plays exactly the same, essentially no matter what matchup you're doing. So level 1, you want to get this as your attacker. You want to get this as your attacker. And then maybe these if you want to start building some early stock. Because at the earliest parts of the game, you've already drawn into a lot of level 0s, and you want to get this into your stock as much as possible. So you keep the level 1s or highers in the deck so that you can just keep stocking this card. Because this as early stock is good, because you want to make sure your stock is as clean as possible. So to get this in early is really good. So you're going to want to attack with these Kiritos at first. The nice thing about time to get serious Kirito is that you can attack with any of your other level 0s and essentially have no repercussions from it. So that is going to be the main strategy at level 1, just swinging, building stock for the later parts of the game, trying to make sure your deck is as compressed as possible, moving on to other parts of the game. Level 1, really easy stuff. You want to start getting these Yuukis out and filtering through your cards as much as possible, because by this point in the game, you hopefully know, number 1, what your opponent is playing, and number 2, what sort of cards they're playing to know how to fix your hand for what you need to do later on. So you want to get these Yuukis out as much as possible, burning through the Mother's Rosario climax combos as much as possible, trying to make sure that you are compressed in terms of your deck and you have the right cards in hand to fix for the next turn. So for example, let's just say you only have like 1 Yuuki out, and that's all you got. The others are level 0s. You can use the climax combo to dig for your other level 1s. So you can dig for another Yuuki, or you can search for another Kirito. So Yuuki, really busted card, really amazing setup card. And that is obviously why we play 4 of her, and why she is probably one of the best level 1s in all of English Weiss right now. And then the other level 1 you play is going to be this Kirito, again, helping you kind of filter through your hand in case you have too many Mother's Rosarios, or you have a lot of cards that you can't even play the next turn, and then you still run over things with the Kirito. So at level 1, you are slamming down these 2 cards as much as possible, building that stock, using the climax combo in order to filter out for whatever you need based on your matchup. And of course, you can still play the level 0 attackers to try and swing some extra souls and get some extra stock. So that is generally the level 1 setup. You could put this in the back, again, to kind of help you go through the deck, try and find that Mother's Rosario Climax card if you need it. This is going to keep your cards alive, but really, we don't care about keeping them alive because there's really no point. Yuki's really weak. This Kirito on defense is really weak, but it could be helpful for like preventing a reverse or tying things up with something like an Aaron to make sure that it gets reversed and then sent to the waiting room rather than being able to bounce next turn. So that's why we play these additional cards, just to either tie with our opponent or later down the line, use them to defend something that we need to keep. All right, at level 2, your strategy essentially remains the same as level 1. You're going to slam down these 4 cards as much as possible, filtering for stuff that you need with the Yuuki, milling through your deck with the Kirito as needed. Because remember, all of your level 2 is just tech. Anti-early out, and climax fixing. This prevents backups from being played in case you want to keep something alive, and also gives strength. And this helps you cancel damage and then keep things alive. So level 2 is really just level 1 with some additional tech, as well as your level 3 early outs. So again, we can do, going into our level 3s, we can do the Songstress Yunas to play some early outs, run over some additional stuff, start healing ourselves, and then swinging with really big characters because of that ability to give power. And then if you really need to close things out because they're really scared of Last Shot Sinon, you play the Link Strike Sinon and then start restanding and punishing your opponent for trying to keep you at level 2, because not only are you getting a bunch of restands, you're still at level 2. You're still a long way from losing this game. So at level 2, that is going to be the improvements from the level 1. And then obviously at level 3, the strategy becomes simple. Slam down these Link Strike Sinons, or slam down the Lifa as needed, or slam down the Yui as needed. You hopefully have gotten them based on your Mother's Rosarios, being able to pretty much get one off every other turn, essentially, because of the fact that it's gold bar, and how you can filter through the deck, how it keeps the stock so clean throughout the entire game. You'll likely end up with a lot of Mother's Rosarios to keep using that ability over and over. You essentially slam down whatever you need. So you want a triple Phantom Bullet? Sure, whatever, because it also heals you. So it heals, triple Phantom Bullet. If you don't win a game after a triple Phantom Bullet, your opponent was either extremely compressed and not eating any of that damage, or you're just extremely unlucky, which happens sometimes in this game. But you know what? Oh, they're extremely compressed. Bam! Play down the Yui, and then double up on the last shot Shinons, and then just go for game. Or maybe you don't have the Phantom Bullet in hand, and you just, bam, play the Leafa, dig for that Phantom Bullet, even dig for potentially this card, the Climax Swapper if you need it, get that Phantom Bullet back. So this deck is really, really good on consistency, again, because that level 1 combo is really good, being able to filter 2 cards out at a time. I can't stress how good that is, because 2 cards, one is a card that you get to play the next turn, one is a card you get to use for setup, and then you potentially discarded a Climax to the waiting room. Super busted. Really, really good. Again, I love that level 1 combo as one of the best level 1 combos in all of English Weiss right now. And hopefully with all that, you've pretty much won the game by that point. So that is going to be the strategy behind the green-blue last shot Sinon deck, at least this deck build. Again, there's a lot of different ways you can build this because the tech is all up to you. This is the tech that I like because, again, filtering for that Climax, punishing your opponent for playing well, in case they trap you at level 2, heals and early outs, good stuff. So this is the rationale behind why I play all of these 1-ofs. Naturally, there's a bunch of other 1-ofs that you can play. So for example, I see a lot of people playing the backup anti-change Eagle, which makes sense for things like Love Live where you want to stop their attacks. But personally, I find this to work well. I don't like using the Eagle because it's a little bit cost heavy, but I can see how it wins games. I can see how it effectively stops the opponent from being able to play their strategy out. So that is how I built my SAO green-blue deck. Personally, I think it's the best build in SAO, but feel free in the comments to leave your thoughts, because I haven't truly played this deck in a while. It was just so consistent, and I kept winning a bunch of games, and not to sound like narcissistic or anything, but like it's just a really good, consistent build. So SAO, after a while, you just kind of get bored of playing with it, and then you just start playing other things. So I haven't played this deck in a while. I haven't really seen it in the most recent English matchups. But I still think it's a really strong deck for all the reasons that I talked about during this video. So with that being said, that is the end of this video. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below, and I'd be happy to answer when I have the time. If you'd like to join my Discord, there's currently nothing for Weiss there right now, but if these videos start to build in popularity or get lots of comments or lots of likes, I'll go ahead and make a channel for Weiss in that Discord. But with that being said, that is all for now. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, until next time, take it easy.